The G.I. Joe movie franchise has been missing in action, but if there's one guy who can rescue it, it's the ninja known as Snake Eyes. The character is returning in an all-new series reboot. Here's everything you need to know about Snake Eyes' G.I. Joe origins. The first bit of news about the Snake Eyes movie that the public heard came out over 3 years ago, way back in May 2018. At the time, The Hollywood Reporter confirmed that Paramount Pictures had put into development a G.I. Joe spin-off film centered around Snake Eyes, tapping the live-action Beauty and the Beast movie screenwriter Evan Spilotopoulos to pen the script and Brian Goldner to produce. The outlet also noted that executives at Paramount and Hasbro had been keen on rebooting the G.I. Joe franchise, and had commissioned a writer's room dedicated to developing movies and cinematic universes around the Hasbro properties, including G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mask, and Micronauts. By all accounts, the Snake Eyes solo flick was one such idea. And according to an interview producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura gave to Entertainment Weekly in 2021, it was one of the only solid ideas that writer's room happened to produce. Things were relatively quiet on the Snake Eyes front until December 2018, when Robert Schwentke signed on as the film's director. Audiences will know Schwentke as the director behind movies like The Time Traveler's Wife, R.I.P.D., the Divergent series Insurgent, and the Divergent series Allegiant. In 2010's G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra and 2013's G.I. Joe Retaliation, the Scottish martial artist Ray Park played Snake Eyes. In December 2018, G.I. Joe franchise producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura confirmed with Slash Film that Ray Park wouldn't be reprising his role for the character's origin story, leaving the possibilities for the movie wide open. It wasn't until mid-2019 that the Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins cast started to come together, and a few more months after that before the movie kicked off production. So if Ray Park isn't Snake Eyes, then who is? That'd be Malaysian English actor Henry Golding, whose performance as Nick Young in the beloved romantic comedy Crazy Rich Asians has led to roles in the feature films A Simple Favor, Monsoon, Last Christmas, and The Gentleman. Through Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins, a talented actor will be taking on his first leading role in an action movie, and he has a heck of a supporting cast surrounding him. Snake Eyes also stars Ready or Not and Bill and Ted Face the Music actress Samara Weaving as Scarlet, a fierce G.I. Joe agent who also works for Clan Arashikage, Money Heist star Ursula Cabero as the Baroness, a member of the terrorist organization Cobra, Peter Mencha of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fame as Clan Arashikage's co-leader Blind Master, Andrew Koji of the excellent Cinemax series Warrior as Snake Eyes' friend-turned-deadly nemesis Storm Shadow, and Haruka Abe as Akiko, a Clan Arashikage trainee with connections to Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Rounding out the cast of Snake Eyes are Iko Uwais as Storm Shadow's uncle Hard Master, who leads Clan Arashikage, Takehiro Hira as Cobra member Kenta, and Stephen Ulrich as Snake Eyes' father. Playing a character as famous as Snake Eyes in a franchise as action-heavy as G.I. Joe would require even in-shape actors to get more ripped in preparation. Henry Golding, whom no one would consider unmuscular in his everyday life, got totally shredded to play Snake Eyes, undergoing intense training that yielded impressive results. In November 2020, Golding said that he became a weapon during Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins prep, and even shared a jaw-dropping clip from one of his training sessions on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
They put me through my paces. We had like 4 hours of choreography every single day. We had 2 hours of script work, then like an hour of PT.
According to Golding, the producers of Snake Eyes went out on a limb in casting him, having faith that he would be able to build on his boxing and martial arts background to become a credible super soldier. That bet seems to have paid off in a big way.
It was worth it because I became a weapon. I'm not gonna lie.
The Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins cast and crew began filming in October 2019, shooting in Vancouver, Canada from the 15th of that month to the 9th of December. When Vancouver's shooting wrapped, the production moved to a new locale, Tokyo, Japan. The cast and crew spent about 6 weeks in Japan, and in late February 2020, Golding announced that all principal photography for Snake Eyes was complete, writing in an Instagram post. And that is a principal wrap on Snake Eyes, ladies and gents. What a crew we had. Vancouver and Japan, you are unstoppable. Thank you for the dedication. This film is going to blow everyone's socks off. Initially, Snake Eyes was slated for a theatrical release on March 27, 2020. Like many movies originally slated for that year, it ended up going through some release date reshuffling, eventually being taken off of Paramount's release schedule entirely. Over a year later, in March 2021, Golding came forward with another announcement about filming. Snake Eyes was undergoing reshoots. In an Instagram post about the reshoots, Golding acknowledged the difficulty of filming under COVID protocols and expressed his happiness that they were still able to pull it off in spite of it.
We just got some reshoots for Snake Eyes, but I'm so grateful that we're able to pull this off.
After those last-minute reshoots, the film is now officially set to land in theaters on July 23, 2021. First and foremost, Snake Eyes will be an origin story, and as such, fans will get to see the events that transform him into the masked, silent badass they know and love. In the G.I. Joe animated series and in the Marvel comics, Snake Eyes' silence has been chalked up to damaged vocal cords, but that fact was retconned for the feature films. Snake Eyes doesn't say a word in G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra and G.I. Joe: Retaliation because he previously took a vow of silence following the apparent murder of one of his masters at the hands of Storm Shadow. The film's story will focus on Snake Eyes accepting an invitation to begin training with the Arashi Kage, a clan of Japanese ninja. The process will prove more difficult than anyone bargained for, as the truth about Snake Eyes' past comes to the surface, his mind and heart are tested, and his body is pushed to its limits. Of course, with Storm Shadow as a key member of the character roster, there should be an epic showdown between the Dangerous Man and his former friend Snake Eyes. Remarks that star Henry Golding has made indicate that Snake Eyes will be charged with a weighty task, rebooting the entire G.I. Joe film series. During a press conference in January 2020, the actor said, "The movie is unlike anything people will have seen. We're really starting a new timeline, a new franchise within the G.I. Joe universe. To kick it off with such a distinct and stylized film, I think, it really sets the precedent for follow-up movies." While one could make the case that Paramount and Hasbro are jumping the gun by rebooting the series after only 2 films, it seems like a smart move. G.I. Joe has the potential to be a smash hit property along the lines of the Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible franchises. But it hasn't happened yet. Previous entries in the franchise, Rise of Cobra and Retaliation, underperformed critically and commercially. In his past comments, Golding perhaps inadvertently pinned down one big reason for this: a lack of personality. Snake Eyes can fix that, reintroducing the franchise by way of an origin flick for its most compelling and unique character. Though Snake Eyes: G.I. Joe Origins has yet to open in theaters, Paramount and Hasbro executives already have a sequel in the works. A Hollywood Reporter broke the news in an exclusive report on May 1, 2020, detailing that Rebecca and Seberg writers Joe Shrapnel and Anna Waterhouse teamed up to co-write the script for Snake Eyes 2. Lorenzo D. Bonaventura is returning to produce, and of course Henry Golding is circling back to star as Snake Eyes. There isn't a whole lot of information about the Snake Eyes sequel out there just yet, and fans will have to wait to see the first flick to know what might happen in the second. It stands to reason that Snake Eyes: G.I. Joe Origins could end with its eponymous character taking a vow of silence or venturing to never show his face again. Although doing both, while canonically accurate, might make for an underwhelming follow-up film. Lucasfilm's Disney Plus streaming series The Mandalorian proved that a project's main character doesn't have to show their face at all times. Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin almost never takes his helmet off, but that they should at least speak up every now and then to keep things interesting. There's also bonus points, of course, for the masked character showing some wit and humor when they do engage in conversation. How will fans feel if Snake Eyes hides his face but not his voice, or vice versa, instead of doing both down the line? In any case, it says a lot that Paramount and Hasbro greenlit a sequel well before Snake Eyes debuted. Fingers crossed that when Snake Eyes: G.I. Joe Origins debuts on July 23rd, it'll blow everyone away. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies and TV shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.